We appreciate you watching and listening to the Dead Jeff Show. Please like and subscribe and tune in for more videos. There was two things that made the news that Cowboy fans are like, oh, what's that mean for the Cowboys? One was Jaxon Smith-Njigba's contract. Shout out to the Rockwall hometown hero. 4 years, $168 million at $42 million a year as a receiver. And of course, what everybody wants to know is, what does that mean for George Pickens, right? And the Cowboys, now did his number just jump up from 35 to 40, right? And so, first of all, congratulations to Jaxon Smith-Njigba. He's totally earned it. They got the Super Bowl last year, and this is what happens to the winners goes the spoils. What do you think this means for the Cowboys and George Pickens?
I mean, for me, I don't know that it really means much. And the only reason I say that, and we've talked about this a little bit, is I just don't see a universe where GP makes more than CD. And so I mean, that just never really made sense to me. It still doesn't. So with that being said, I don't know that resetting the top of the market, which JSN did, means anything for GP. Just since we're talking about it, CD's got a $136 million contract, averaging $34 million a year. I've always thought if you were going to get GP long time, I still think he plays out the franchise. I don't think they're going to give him an extension, or not that they won't. I don't think they'll agree on an extension. I think the number for GP on the open market is probably like 30. It's right underneath that first top tier, which is JSN, Jamar, Justin, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. Like those four are clearly tier one. Amon-Ra probably belongs up there. His contract value doesn't match it. So I would say those are the top five guys, and then GP slots in that next group behind DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, those kind of guys. And those are all the guys in that 28, 27 to 30 million range. So I don't think it really means much for GP. He probably will think it means something for him. No shot he makes more than CD, and he shouldn't.
Well, I know you're on record as way back in the day, you didn't want to pay him 30. You didn't want to pay him 35. Nope. You don't want to pay him 40, obviously. So I think the the interesting thing here is, right now he's got the non-exclusive tag, and he's free to negotiate with anybody on a trade or a deal, and the Cowboys have to match it. And it's been all quiet on the Western Front when in regards to his contract talks, right? It's like nobody is jumping at that. So I think that's working in the Cowboys' favor, that there really hasn't seemed to be a lot of interaction or negotiations with his agent and other teams. So the question is then, can one guy signing a contract, JSN, reset the market for George Pickens? I think I tend to agree that I don't think so. But don't forget who George Pickens' agent is, and surely he's going to leverage this to high heaven, right? It's like, well, JSN, look at the stats. George Pickens is not that far off from JSN, right? And he wants to make those comparisons, but the difference is George has done it one year, right?
Right.
And JSN, you could argue, has only done it for a couple, but here's what I would say about this. I agree. I don't think it means a whole lot, but I do think if they sign a deal, he's going to make more than CD. I think they're going to have to pay him probably $36 million. Probably that's probably the low end now, if they choose to sign him. Now, if nobody signs Pickens to an offer sheet, he plays on the tag, right? Or they work out a long-term deal. The best thing for the Cowboys is you play on the tag. And it's whatever it was, right. 27 million or whatever it is. Yeah. That's always been the best thing for the Cowboys, and why they're not in too big of a hurry. But I just found it interesting that every time, I mean, obviously it matters. It's relative, right? It's related to George Pickens. But I don't think the Cowboys are over a barrel here. I don't think there's any other teams lining up to pay George Pickens $40 million. But I do think it's probably going to be $36 million. Somewhere around there, if they do a deal long term. Are you willing to pay him $36 million now that you've seen what he can do? And
no.
Okay, so you hope somebody signs him to an offer sheet, and we don't match it, or he plays
Yeah,
on the tag.
that would be my that would honestly the former would be my best case scenario because then you don't lose him for nothing, and also it does let you explore that idea of like, okay, well, here's what the offer sheet is. Now, I would imagine if you're Pickens and Camp, what's the agent's name? You know the agent's name? It's Micah's agent too, right?
Dave Mulugeta, something like that. You would
Yeah.
ask me
Okay.
that. You just want me to
Yeah.
mess up
Yeah.
the name.
So I had no idea even what his first name was. So Dave. So here's the reality. Here's what I kind of hope is happening behind the scenes. I hope that they are getting some offers. Teams are saying, "Hey, here's what if you want, we won't, actually make you an official offer, so it doesn't have to get, blah blah blah." I'm sure there's that kind of stuff back channeling going on, and I would hope that it's letting them know exactly where they live, because here's the reality for the Cowboys, and you've got the perfect example up in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, $40 million a year, and T. Higgins, who's also in the top 10, it looks like, of receivers paid. Maybe he's number 11, is 28.5 a year. So how's that working out for them? Right? Haven't been in the playoffs since T signed this contract. Their defense has been in the bottom 10 every year since T signed this contract. You are totally reliant on those two plus Burrow. Now that means Burrow has to stay healthy. Why? Why would you want, like, find me a team where you're paying two guys at that level that can consistently do it? And we're about to see this with Philly. We'll see what happens with Philly, because unless they do something, which a lot of people thinks AJ may be going, but AJ's 32 and Devontae's 25 million. That's getting up there. So we'll see. But to answer your question, no, don't pay him. I would much rather let him play out on the tag, and or let's see what we can get for him in terms of who's going to offer him some some money, which I don't think will be above. I think 25 to 28 is George Pickens money.
He's not doing that deal. I don't think so. And I don't think his agent will let him. So they're not going to sign for less than what the tag is, at least for this year and probably next. I think the best case scenario for Dallas is that, like you said, somebody pays him a ridiculous amount of money and we don't match it. We get 2 first-round picks. But I've said what's
Yep.
going to happen all along is he's going to have to play under the tag this year. Now, if he will or not, and what kind of drama that induces from that decision, I don't know. But you see all over, social media, him and CD hanging out and loving life and just chilling together all the time. So maybe he can do what T. Higgins did and say, I want to stay here, so take less money. Maybe. I don't know that I see that happening. But I have to see George Pickens repeat last year's performance before I sign up for multiple years at 35 plus million for George Pickens. I just have to, and that's smart business. Now, if you look at Cincinnati, since you brought them up, I mean, the Joe Burrow, we both agree Joe Burrow is better than Dak? Or do we?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah. So you have Joe Burrow, his biggest issue is he can't stay healthy. See Dak a few years ago when he was having all the issues.
Yep.
But at their healthiest, they're both. We both believe that Burrow is better than Dak. If I have a quarterback that's better than Dak, would you say that Chase is better than CD or Pickens? Right.
I think he's better than both.
Okay. And where do you put T. Higgins? He's probably below Pickens and
Behind all
CeeDee
of them.
Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is tantamount to the same. I got two CDM George equals
100%.
Chase and Higgins, even though Higgins can't stay on the field
Completely
either.
agree.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
So where in the history of the NFL has that worked? Where we had two high paid guys. Now, if you go way back before salary cap, when you're talking about two great receiver duos, that's different. But we're talking about paying these people this much and it's worked. It's not been done. And of course, it's only happened a few times. So it's not a lot of evidence to go off of. So, are you saying, yeah, we trust that the Cowboys are the team that's going to make this work? That's what you're basically, counting on, right? Is that, we can get George to sign a long-term deal at CeeDee's number, around CeeDee's number, or he plays under the franchise tag. That's what I would do if I'm the Cowboys.